time, 'cause I wanna freeze this moment. Make it mine, hold you close. Now my heart's wide open. When I'm with you, suddenly I feel no pain. Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Hold you close. Now my heart's wide open. When I'm with you, suddenly I feel no pain. Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it go away?
Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it. Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to another round, the 6th round of the NEVO TCR Series here from Circuit Park Zandvoort, known these days as just Circuit Zandvoort. It's a very interesting circuit, is Zandvoort. It divides opinion quite a lot. It's gone through a big change recently, of course, for the world of Formula 1, but for tonight, We are on the, what we're going to call the older version. Hello everybody, Chaz Draycott here in the commentary box with my wonderful partner in crime for this championship. Although it's his last appearance on our airwaves for this season, Matthew Crisp joins me. But Matt, honestly, it's been a real joy having you on with us for this season. What have you made of it so far in terms of commentating, of course, and the racing itself?
Yeah, it's been brilliant entertainment, hasn't it? Yeah, good evening, Chaz. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, we've had the circuits in the Americas, and now we're back to a more traditional European circuit. But I've enjoyed all the races so far, and can't wait to see what happens next.
Well, it should be an interesting night for sure. We're going to take a quick look at the championship standings. As you see here, Taylor Flatten is absolutely flying, as we know he can. There's been 10 races so far this season. He didn't appear in 2 of them, and they are the only 2 races that haven't been won by him this season. So he has a 100% record of winning every race he's been in so far this season. If he wins both of the races tonight, and Nick Clibbens is lower than second in both of those races, then Taylor Flatten is going to be confirmed as champion. Quite a bit early as well, we have to say. Looking at the AM Championship, we have Martin Shirley at the very top for Simtech Racing. He's 30 points clear of Ian Manners, who has changed to the Honda Civic for tonight. Jason Morris is next up, 10 points back in 3rd position for iRace Esports, ahead of Jose Scully and Mark Redford. Mark's son Will is going to be racing with us tonight. He drives in the Honda Civic Cup here in the UK, the Miltech Civic Cup, and he's a very, very potent driver, but more on him a little bit later. Looking at the team standings, well, Ignium Motorsport are ahead of a tie for apparently 2 teams worth of iRace Esports cars. Not quite sure why that's come up like that, to be honest with you, and even I made the graphic and didn't notice, so GG Chaz. Simtech Racing are effectively 3rd in the championship, ahead of Ignium Motorsport Blaze on 120 points, and then it spreads out a little bit further down, but JW Motorsport having a fantastic run last time out at Belle Isle, Matt. They really did make the most of that race meeting, didn't they?
I don't know what Reece Watt did last round, but he was on fire in the AM class. He took victory in both the races, and yeah, he's in the practice so far. He's top of the standings once again.
He is indeed, and we look at him now in the Honda Civic, and as pointed out very correctly, he is at the top of the standings. Now you're going to get those graphics at the top of the screen that tell you the 2 specific classes apart and exactly who is top, what the fastest times are, and so on. And we hope to, of course, bring you as much information as we can. Interesting to not see this man, Taylor Flatten, at the very top of the standings at the moment, isn't it? But then again, we know that when he needs to bring out the lap times and the pace, he can do it, can't he, Matt? It doesn't really matter where or when, does it?
He does. It just seems whatever approach he's taking into the races, it seems to be working for him. I know he was talking that the last round he did about 5 hours or so practice coming into that for what essentially is, an hour of racing per evening. But yeah, I mean, he's right at the top. He's got a comfortable lead, as you mentioned, in the championship. Realistically, he's just got to stroke it home now. Even we've got 3 rounds left to go, including tonight. So yeah, he can afford just to back it off and let things unfold around him.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be looking for the whole sort of 100% record of winning every race he's been in, but you're absolutely right. He can maybe back off a little bit. Now, here's a man that will not be backing off tonight. Will Redford, young superstar in the Miltech Civic Cup. He used to race in the Junior Saloon Car Championship as well. I met Will through his father, Mark, who I've commentated on for quite a while now, and he also races in this championship. There he is. You can see the slight difference in their colour schemes, of course, with the different colours on the roof. But Will is certainly going to be, I don't want to say a spoiler in the pack tonight, because I think it's going to be great to see him racing in this Honda Civic, of course, different to the usual Civic EP3 Type R that he races in the real world. But having somebody come into the championship this late that's going to be this fast, Matt, is going to be very exciting to watch, I think.
Yeah, it's more of an annoyance for the people who have been racing all season, because they've all used to racing each other. And yeah, you've got a guy here who, okay, we know how quick Will is. He's quick in anything. I've seen him in single-seaters, all sorts in iRacing. He's right up at the sharp end of the field. But he'll just want to be get stuck in. He won't really even know what's happened so far. Okay, you might have looked at the standings and see who's right up there. But he raced the guys. He probably doesn't quite know everyone's situation. He's just going to want the best result for himself.
Yeah, that's it. He's up there to score championship points and to do the job. He's flashing the lights right now because I'm sure he probably knows that we're looking at him on the stream. It's good to see another Honda Civic driver back tonight as well, which is Jose Scully. We've had Jose for a couple of rounds so far this season, and I believe he's been on the podium a number of times in his AM class. So it's good to have him back with us in what looks like one of the old sort of Honda Works colour schemes from the late 90s in the Super Touring era. It's certainly a good-looking livery on this car. Who else have we got back with us? Ben Hicks back on the grid as well. I remember particularly Ben having a very tough first opening race meeting, actually, back at Budapest. Boy, doesn't that seem forever ago now, but it's good to have him back with us once again. And of course, these Ignium cars, they're all... you can tell them apart via their colour schemes, of course, with the purple being Spark, the red being Blaze, and the blue just being Ignium Motorsport. But they have requested that they all just show up as Ignium Motorsport on the timing screen, basically.
Yeah, and also good to have Preben Varley back with us as well tonight in the with of course teammate in the sense of the standings to Terje Flatten, as you said, you can win the championship tonight. But yeah, we're just ticking over these final few moments of practice.
Just looking now at Jason Morris as he makes his way into the pits. Now, in case anybody does need to come into the pits in this race, it's going to be very, very important because that pit entry is narrow and very, very sudden. You really have to slow down for it quite a lot, and the line is not too far from the inside of where the wall is. Here's Ben Gregory. He's decided last minute to race this evening. He's had a very long day, he said, so he wasn't really feeling it, but he's decided to give it a go. And to be honest, Matt, after looking at the championship standings, we've seen a pattern that, I mean, well, it seems a bit daft to say, really, but if you turn up, there's more chance you'll score points, basically. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take is one of my favourite phrases I've ever heard. But to be honest with you, later on in the season, more and more teams are getting their highest scores of the championship because they're still here and other drivers have decided not to turn up anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but that's just what happens in league racing, isn't it?
Yeah, it always seems to. I think with every league race, things tail off towards the end of the season. People perhaps not getting the results that they expected. But yeah, in terms of the points here, the top 10 in class score points. So yeah, we've got 8 drivers in each class tonight. So yeah, they'll all be scoring points. So just need to finish the race and yeah, to pick up more points in the championship.
That's absolutely it. I mean, in terms of the championship itself, you get points when you're in the top 10. So seeing as we don't even have 10 cars in each class, you literally just need to cross the line and get the result. And you never know, you might just, even if you just get 3, 2 or 1 points at each race meeting, you can slowly climb your way up the order, and that's what matters at the end of the season. Looking back to Will Redford, a driver that's certainly going to be pushing hard tonight. Currently 4th fastest at the moment, but it's quite close between the top 3. Eystein Herfjord fastest in the Audi, the only Audi that's here tonight as well, the 5-star motorsport machine. He was really playing a game of catch-up, wasn't he, back at Belle Isle in Detroit, because that pace difference to Terje Flatten, it was just that extra sort of 2 to 5% that we've mentioned all season, wasn't it, that the others just can't seem to maintain.
Yeah, and as I was talking about back there, it's small differences. It's just using a little bit more of the track everywhere. It's not. If you watch the laps side by side, you'd see there's not much difference in terms of what lines the guys would be taking, but you add it all up over the course of a lap, and it's a few tenths of a second, and that's in the race. That's so hard to beat someone who's got that much of an advantage.
Absolutely right, and everybody will disappear, everything will reset, and we will now head into qualifying. Now, this is one of the most important parts of the evening. We've seen that a decent qualifying position can make quite the difference here. It sounds very daft to say that in such a surprise way, but being honest, Matt, we've both watched championships before where really it doesn't make a huge difference where you qualify because you can still progress, but we've seen a number of drivers break away from the front of the field. We've seen others come through from the back, but it always does seem that grid position is key, especially in installing a driver's confidence for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, and this is not one of those circuits where you're going to be able to use the draft to stay with the race leader, even if you don't have the ultimate pace of them. So yeah, we may well see that tonight. Someone breaking away at the front of the pack, but for our sake and for everyone watching, we hope that's not the case, and we have a nice close evening of racing.
I'm sure we will do. Zandvoort always a very fun circuit to come to. It was a circuit that was opened, get this, 74 years ago originally, in August of 1948, built by an architect called Jarno Zaffelli, and until 2017 it was called Circuit Park Zandvoort, and it is now just Circuit Zandvoort. However, the banking and stuff has changed, of course, for Formula One in the last couple of years, but the actual layout of the circuit has never been majorly altered, which I think is great, because it's always important to keep these sort of old school circuits, isn't it? We've got a few of them in the UK that haven't really changed a lot in time, but you know, they have the safety upgrades and a bit of modernisation about them, and it doesn't detract from the racing or any of the sort of the spectacle of being there, does it?
No, it doesn't. And so the best circuits always seem to be the ones that sort of follow the natural sort of curvature of the land, if you will, not the ones that are just, you have a blank piece of paper and design a racetrack. And sort of, you think like some of the iconic corners just in Europe, as you say, in the UK and around Europe, they're not things that you would necessarily design on paper. It sort of follows the land around where the track is.
Well, to be honest, Eystein Herfjord was just following the land where the circuit was there as well, out the final corner, all over the grass. But these are the parts of the circuit where they've really got to push. You've got that little right-hand flick into the Hugenholzbocht, which is the little hairpin, the sort of banked hairpin. You can tell already that he's not happy with this lap. Is Eystein Herfjord, and behind him as well, I believe that's Preben Valle. He's not happy, but Will Redford goes on forward. He's pushing hard now. We'll go on board with Will in the Civic, and look at this. Sideways, all the way down through Schieflack. Absolutely amazing. We've all seen all season that the Civic likes to break away like this. Not quite sure what the helmet design's all about. I think that's Mr. Bean's face, to be honest. It looks similar to that. But either way, Will is definitely pushing. He says that the Civic, this version anyway, is not always his favourite car. He says that they feel a bit stiff compared to how you'd expect a touring car to feel, and to be honest, he's qualified to think so because he races a Civic in real life. But you'd expect, I mean, when the TCR cars first came out, we all knew them as very understeery, very numb cars. You know, they felt very flat, but in recent times, I'd say, I mean, as you see it there, they bounce around and move about a lot more now, don't they? They've certainly gotten livelier than they used to be.
It does. I mean, I was watching him driving actually through practice, and I was thinking myself, it looked quite stiff, the car he was driving. I don't know if that's just the way he liked it set up or whatever, but yeah, I was thinking that. But yeah, he's not getting involved in any of the games that are going on behind him, but yeah, with that little moment he had up to turn number 7. I see his eyes were on stalks, not just on his helmet, but inside the helmet as well.
Yeah, they certainly will be. Certainly will. Fastest lap then goes to Will Redford, 1:48.047. Reece Watt goes second fastest. Again, a fantastic turnaround of pace by him this season. Jose Scully outdoes him in the AM class and goes a little bit quicker with a 1:48.570. But you can see there's a number of drivers that haven't improved there. We've got Worcester UK in the chat cheering on this man, Jason Morris, of course, with his namesake. I was at your brother's house last week, Kyle, and isn't that dog an absolute nutcase, Juno? Bless her. So funny, though. Anyway, we've got a few drivers that haven't put times in yet. Mark Redford, Martin Kenyon, and Luke Jones, teammate of Reece Watt from JW Motorsport that we've seen doing oh so well. And again, we spoke about them quite a lot at Belle Isle because of this turn of pace, but it's just come with practice, it's come with time, hasn't it? It's been a great sort of story to see a team that was struggling a little bit early on and just finding their feet to all of a sudden being right up there overall and, of course, top of their class pretty much.
Yeah, it's probably good, but I think just driving the same cars sort of consistently helps that as well. I'm not sure if these guys consistently drive the TCRs, but it's interesting that they're both going with different car choices, whether that's down to driver preference or they felt like going that way. But yeah, it's certainly seeing the improvement from those guys. But yeah, just looking at the AM standings throughout the season, every driver in the AM class has finished in the top 3 at some point. It shows how competitive that class has been. Sort of from round to round, we haven't been able to predict who's going to come up on the top.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what makes it exciting, you know. And a lot of the time, with the balance of performance that you get with these different touring cars, there can be a big spread sometimes because they are very they're not all aero dependent really that much, but it's all about power and weight with these cars. You know, they can linger around a lot. The lap times come in, and Taylor Flatten is back at the top, ahead of Preben Valle, then Ben Hicks. Will Redford's been shuffled down to 4th, now 5th as Jason Morris goes even quicker in the iRace Esports Hyundai Veloster. And there you go. Well, how about that?
Well,
Oh, Ian Manners in the Civic goes fastest, but Ben Gregory temporarily went up there. He would have been very happy with that, considering that he's decided to race last minute. But this is the man, Ian Manners, that has changed from the Hyundai Elantra to the Honda Civic for the final couple of rounds of the season. It's a very striking livery, that, but it's well put together, to be honest. It's been well painted. The spec map is nice and complete. And the number boards, even on the side, are glossy, whereas the rest of the car is either matte or metallic. And that's that sort of attention to detail that I live for. Mark Redford hasn't put a time on the board yet, but I'm sure that when he comes around the final couple of corners now, we're about to see what time he can do. Martin Kenyon goes 14th fastest with a 49.754. Civic goes to the line with Mark Redford at the wheel. And the time is... Savaganders. The time is not... Oh, there it is, 1:48.501. Inside the top 10, but that puts him 4th in the AM class for the moment. But what about Ian Manners at the top? How long is that going to last, though? Because here come the Ignium cars.
yeah, they're looking at sectors. I don't think it's going to last very long at all. A-Star Herfjord's got a couple of purple sectors. So far, it's still not reflecting on your timing. I don't know why that is. I've actually tried to use your file offline, and it was showing the purple sectors on my end. So I'm not sure why we go live. It doesn't quite work.
That's odd. That is very odd. I'm not sure what that is, to be honest with you. A-Stein Herfjord is the car that goes fastest by 17 thousandths of a second over Terje Flatten. But to be honest, all these Norwegian guys, they all get on with each other. They all sit in voice chats together a lot of the time anyway. So while it may look like they're fighting ferociously out there on track, they're all just having a good time and enjoying themselves. We've got Hakon Ask back with us as well tonight, by the way. Speaking of Norwegian drivers, not seen much of him yet in car number 99, but he's definitely out there. And it's good to have him back with us, because early on in the season he was definitely one of the drivers to watch, wasn't he? We expected a little bit more from him results-wise, but he was certainly quick and always near the front with his teammates.
He's 6th in the standings, so it's not been a terrible season. Yeah, he's been there or thereabouts all season, and we've just been waiting for that breakthrough result. It's just not quite happened for him. He's sort of hovering around that around that sort of lower end of the top 10 overall, but yeah, maybe you can see a breakthrough from him in the last couple of rounds. It's interesting that Will Redford decided to pit in the middle of the session, because I mean, this session not long at all, 10 minutes, and the tyres take a little bit of time to come in. So I don't know if he made a mistake which forced him to have to reset and grab a new car, or is that just his tactics for the session.
It does say that he went off the circuit, but only for like 2 seconds. So, not quite sure what the situation was there, to be honest with you. Not sure if he did have an accident or had any contact. We'll have a quick look at it.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Well, yeah, he did. It just didn't even show that the car had come to a stop for some reason, so not quite sure why that is. But, yeah, he's definitely had quite the hit there, to be honest with you. But now he's back on with a fast lap. We've got Ian Manners, though, still at the top. Oh, never mind. Reece Watt goes. Oh, and he even goes. No, he doesn't go down to third, but Jose Scully gets right behind him. Reece Watt again, though. This pace is fantastic from Reece Watt, I must say. What a very, very close. Sorry, close. I was reading something else. What a very, very sudden turnaround of pace he has had. It's really good. Very strong indeed.
Yeah, so proving he's not just a specialist on the street circuits, he can also do it on the main road courses as well. But that top 3, look, Prema Valle improved his time. There's less than a tenth of a second covering those top 3. They were incredibly close, lapping together, so I suppose it's not really a surprise to see them that close on the grid. But that's it, qualifying's over before you know it.
Very, very suddenly over as well. I mean, it's one of those moments, isn't it, where you suddenly realise that the session has passed you by. We're going to have a quick look through our grid then before we get this race underway. We're going to have A-Stein Herfjord on pole position with Terje Flatten alongside. Then it's Preben Valle and Reece Watt on row 2. Ben Hicks and Nick Clibbens on row 3 ahead of Ian Manners and Jose Scully in all AM row 4. Ben Gregory and Will Redford round out the top 10. Watch for Will coming through from there. Sam Smith will start 11th. Hakon Ask all the way down in 12th. Behind him is Jason Morris and Luke Jones. Mark Redford and Martin Kenyon on row 8. with Martin Shirley starting 17th on the grid, although he didn't take to the session, so I'm not sure if we're going to have Martin for the duration this evening, but there's your grid. And of course, the question, as always, Matt, who have you got your eye on here? Eystein Herfjord's clearly shown he's got a bit more pace this time round, but is it enough to beat Terje Flatten on the road? He would be the first driver to do so if he does that in this race.
Yeah, the Audi's traditionally good off the line as well, at least compared to the cars around him. So if he can get a clean start and stay ahead, as we said, it's difficult to overtake here. But yeah, Flatten, we start him first, we start him sixth. It doesn't matter, he always comes through.
He does indeed. He does indeed. Let's have a look then at what happens when the lights go out. We're still waiting for a few more cars to make their way to the grid. Waiting for Preben Valle, Reese Watt and Sam Smith. I do doubt we're going to see Martin Shirley. We just wait for Preben Valle now to take up the third spot on the grid. He's not got long to do it either, to be honest with you. Only 15 seconds to make it there, but it's top three, all Norwegians, and boop, there he is. And we're ready to get things started then. So, here we go then, Matt. It's going to happen. Round 11 of the NEVO TCR Series from Zandvoort gets underway, and indeed the Audi's good off the line. Eystein Herfjord disappears up the road. He's absolutely gone. Shoots away from everybody else. And all he's got is all the Ignium cars fighting amongst themselves behind him. Ben Gregory throws it up the inside, gains 2 places already on the 2 AM drivers of Ian Manners and Jose Scully. Looks nice and tidy from where everybody else is. You've got to be careful on the exit though, because there's a big pinch point as you go down here. It's side by side there between the 2 AMs I just mentioned. Manners around the outside of Scully. Will Redford puts his nose down the inside, nearly runs into the back of Ian. As the contact further up sounded like a bit of a scrape or something, but I think they've all got away with it. But what a fantastic start that was by Eystein Herfjord.
Yeah, great start, yeah, say by Ben Gregory as well, up a couple of positions, but it's all single file here coming up towards turn number 7, and you've got to be a little bit cautious here because you've got cold rear tyres. But does everybody make it through safely here? Looks like they have done just about on this first lap. We don't see that so much anymore like we saw in the first round, everyone losing the rear. They've got to get used to handling these cars on colder tyres now.
Yeah, they really have to be mindful of the rear end when they're on the brakes, especially into sections like this here, which is just known as turns 9 and 10, I believe, or bocht, as they say in Dutch. Will Redford make up 2 places so far. He's got fantastic battles going on around him. Jose Scully's dropped 3 places. Ian Manners has dropped 2, but everyone inside the top 6 is where they started to say that, though. Terje Flatten's gone for the lead on Eystein Herfjord, but it must have been a move that he wasn't happy with. Either that or there was some sort of loss of control on the way into the corner, and he's actually lost out to Preben Valle. Car off the road in the background, that's Ben Gregory, side by side with Will Redford. It's going to be down the inside now as Ben. Will's going to carry the pace around the outside. Ben's going to squeeze himself to the apex, make sure he doesn't understeer into the side of the Civic. There's a little bit of argy-bargy, a little bit of rubbing going on. Will gets in front, but look at Ian Manners now. Oh, no! Ian turns in, and well, to be honest with you, I think he was trying not to... he was just trying not to sort of... I don't even know, really, but not let the whole left-hand side of the car sort of linger on the grass. He was just a bit late to take the lock off, wasn't he? And I know that's not going to go down well, because Ian had a very similar moment last week with John Roberts as well, where he was on the grass and he put the lock on to get the car back onto the concrete. How nobody hit Ben, I don't know, but it was a very, very lucky moment. But yeah, that's going to go down like a cup of cold sick, that one.
Yeah, it will do. Up at the front, yeah, Herford still in the lead. Flatten's dropped back a little bit. It's Preben Valle who's putting the pressure on for the lead at the moment.
Yeah, certainly he's right up there. And this is the thing, we've seen great pace from Preben Valle. He won on the road at Watkins Glen, but of course, after all the penalties and all of the track limits offences that everybody had in that race, he lost it and actually gave the win to this man, Eystein Herfjord, who won both races effectively at Watkins Glen. In the background there's more fighting going on, and importantly this is Will Redford on the back of Nick Clibbens. Now Nick needs to finish second or higher in both of these races in this evening to carry on this championship fight, basically, because there's a humongous gap from Terje Flatten back as Nick just drives into the back of the Honda Civic, but he suddenly had a lot of traction off the corner there, and we've seen that a bit, haven't we, from the Veloster, to be fair. It's a very squirty little car. It's not the fastest in a straight line, or it wasn't Well, it was at the start of the season, but it isn't now. But out of the corner, it has amazing punch, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. He was sort of pushing Will Redford, like, attempt to get on with it, get on that at the corner. But that was a great move up the inside. He was confident on the brakes, looking, flashing the lights. He was happy with that, or is he listening to us? I don't know, one or the other. But yeah, he's cracking on. He's already into that 6th position, that crucial 6th position, as a bit wide there. That was Nick Libbons running wide, was losing a couple of spots there. So, but Will Redford, yeah, he's up to that crucial 6th position. That, of course, the reverse grid, that's the position that gets reversed for the second race. So I was thinking that's probably going to be his aim for this race, and yeah, he's already into that position, and we are on lap 3 of the race.
We are indeed. It's close further up between the two Ignium cars as well. Preben Vala in second place now. He is the spearhead of this attack to go after Eystein Herfjord, and Terje Flatten is right behind him at this stage of the race. Reigning champion, potential champion-elect as well. But what's interesting once again here is if we bring up this on the left-hand side for you, just to show you, it's all Norwegians on the podium once more in this championship, and it always is, isn't it? We constantly see a Norwegian takeover at the top of the standings as side by side go the two teammates now. And are they going to fight each other? Well, we've been told before that there are no team orders at Ignium, so these guys are free to do what they want, and what Terje Flatten wants is to go through. Preben Vala wants that as well by the look of it.
Yeah, well, Flatten's got the move done then, so up to second position. Vala knew that's the most sensible thing there was just to be just back off and sitting behind him, and Will Redford were weaving around there. I don't know if he's had a bit of contact. He was trying to see if the car was damaged, but he's all over the back of Ben Hicks now, as we can see here.
Whoa,
he tried to go around the outside.
I don't know. That was a tough one to call. I'm not sure if he turned across a little bit there, because maybe Ben was just trying to open up the corner a bit. Maybe he was just a bit late turning in, but I don't know. I don't think that was all on Ben, to be honest. It takes 2 to tango, but he's got him now anyway. He's got him out of Tarzan, the first corner here at Zandvoort, and he moves up into 5th position. Now, the one thing he needs to be conscious of now is that Reese Watt isn't directly in competition with him here. Reese is just coasting around, really enjoying himself, I'm sure, at the front of the AM class. So Will needs to try and just get past him, not upset his race at all, and just crack on with the job from there, because then he can try and close down the gap to the 3 Norwegian drivers right at the top of the field. A bit further back, by the way, we've got the other Redford involved in a fight with the other JW Motorsport car, which is Luke Jones, all over the back of Mark Redford. Nice to see the Elantra still on the road, actually, isn't it? We had a few of them at the start of the season, but they've been dropping like flies.
Yeah, they have. Luke Jones pressing on. So yeah, but going back to where you were saying about Reese Watt, he got last round he got stuck in with the guys in the pro class, and that was a sideways moment for Jason Morris, and he's going to let Mark Redford through. Well, he was. Redford had a bit of a sideways moment of his own, and all back in the same order. But that brings Luke Jones back into this fight.
I think there was a bit of contact potentially between Jason Norris and Hakon Ask, because Hakon went through not long before that. Mark's missed his braking point. He's driven into Jason, and through goes Luke. He says thanks very much, but he's on the outside now, so we can't go anywhere from there. But yeah, I think there was a bit of argy-bargy between Hakon Ask and Jason Morris. Let's have a look. Hakon's going to try and put it down the inside, and he does. Oh, no, Jason loses it on his own, and then has that little slide and tiny bit of contact. Will Redford does the fastest lap of the race now. He's in a bit of clean air. Well, I say clean air, it's full of Honda Civic right now, as he's got Reese Watt right in front of him. He needs to know at this point that he's not racing Reese outright. Well, he is, but he's not racing him for championship points. Will Reese roll over and let him through? I mean, we didn't see that last time out at Belle Isle, did we? There was certainly no relinquishing of anything from Reese. Well, I think Will just got an incredible run. That was just amazing. How on earth did he get that sort of run?
That was superb. Yeah, he set that one up a couple of corners beforehand. But yeah, you get such a good run out of there. That was unbelievable. He went slightly wide. It's not like he had the banking to use like on they have in the real circuit anymore, but he got to drive it out the corner like he did.
I did think at first that Reese was just letting him through, but then you could tell by the exit of the corner that Reese didn't want to let him through. But still, great stuff by the newcomer to the championship. Here's Nick Clibbens down the inside of Ian Manners. This is not where Nick wants to be. He doesn't want to be down here in 9th position fighting with the AM drivers. He wants to be right up near the front of the order trying to win this championship. But no, it's It's just not happening at the moment for him.
Certainly not, but I don't think he'd be thinking about championships, to be honest, at the moment. Flatten's said when he's won every race he's competed in. I mean, Nick, he's second in the championship, so that was a Veloster Insider Civic there. And a door banger as well between himself and Ian Manners. Manners is not giving out very many manners at the moment.
No, but at the end of the day, I mean, Nick, again, he was in a slow corner and he just didn't have the patience with the car in front of him and just drove into the back of it mid-corner. So you can understand if Manners was a little bit disgruntled, because it's not the first time we've seen it this race, but no matter how many times you see it as a driver, it can be frustrating when you are in a slow corner and the guy behind has the option to not drive into the back of you and still does, unfortunately. Nick's got his teammate Sam Smith right behind. It's a shame to see them down here in 9th and 10th, because at the start of the season it looked like we were going to have this epic battle all time through with the Ignium cars and the iRace guys. Oh, it was a little bit clumsy by Nick. Wow, that sounded phenomenal. But again, like, I'm not picking on Nick, but he was a bit clumsy at Belle Isle last time out. He put his nose down the inside of another car, caused contact. And again, he's done it there. He's just put his nose down the inside. He's overcooked it a little bit. And it's become a bit of a theme, unfortunately, in the last couple of rounds for Nick, that he's had these sort of moves where it'd be a great move, but he's just not got it stopped in time, unfortunately. And he's, rather than, you know, make himself out to be a hero and get the move done, he's made it out to just be a little bit of a scrappy move. Further up the order, two more teammates in the Velosters, Taya Flatten and Preben Vala, still trying to chase down Eystein Herfjord. And if I'm honest with you, that 5-star Motorsport Audi is putting in a 5-star performance at the moment.
Certainly is, but the Ignium train is not going away. They're sticking with the in the draft, although it's not really worth particularly much, well, a lot round here. Yeah, I imagine all these guys are absolutely pushing flat out. It's not that they're going to be sitting behind him waiting for an opportunity. I mean, this is a pure flat out race, I reckon.
Flatten out. Sorry, I'm running out of them. I'm running out. We go back to this because whoa! Well, I tell you what, Ian, if you've had new overalls made to match that Civic, you're going to need a second pair. Flipping heck! Wow, that was dodgy to say the least. We had pretty much identical fastest. Oh, well, that's not the fastest lap, unfortunately. Nick Clibben's now outdoing himself here. He's gone straight on at turn 1. And is it just the back end? Yeah, on the change down. Back end just slips around and it floats through Tarzan. But that was a very scary moment for Ian Manners. He's gained a place in the long run afterwards, but I'm sure that's not the moral of the story for him. But still.
No, certainly not. It was yeah, as you say, new underwear required there, but up at the front, these three, yeah. We were saying at the top we were fearing that somebody might be breaking away at the front, but yeah, we've got far from that at the moment.
Yes, indeed, and this is what we love to see. Battles through the order. All of a sudden, this Audi looks under pressure. It's like Taya Flatten's hurdles, and he's thought, you really think that I've lost it, boys? Watch. Now he's properly getting on the attack. But this is the thing. These are all three drivers that are very respectful to each other. You know, we've seen great racing from each of them so far this season. We've only had Eystein Herfjord and the 5-star cars with us since Watkins Glen, when he won on his debut and then had the second race win given to him effectively after penalties for others. But all three of them have always been clean, they've always been friendly, and to be honest with you, there's a great sense of camaraderie between all of them. I mean, the interviews that we do with Taya Flatten, you know, he's always complimenting the pace of other drivers and just how he's enjoying the racing. You know, he's not cocky, he's not arrogant. He's a very deserving champion if he wins it again, and he's already a very deserving existing champion. Will Redford is starting to close in a little bit here on these guys. He's 3.3 seconds back, and we've only just gone over halfway, to be fair. But you've got to think about the tyres, haven't you? Because we've seen it before. Drivers can be rapid in the early stages and we think, wow, they're flying here. Surely they're on for a strong result. And then all of a sudden the car drops off later on and they go nowhere.
So that's the only thing I'd fear for Will at the moment, but he is quite comfortable in that fourth position that he is. He's got the fastest lap of the race at the moment. He's lapping slightly quicker than those ahead of him at the moment, but yeah, 12 minutes, we're just over the halfway into the race, about 12 minutes left. Unless they really start going at it, I don't think he's going to catch them.
Great shot here as we go through Shivlak on board with Ian Manners. He's now closed back in on Sam Smith in the iRace Esports Veloster. Very bright and colourful machine. You can see the battles further up as well, which is Jose Scully attacking Ben Hicks and then Reese Watt just ahead of them actually. That is first and second in the AM class with a pro driver between them. For anyone new to the series, you'll see at the top of your screen we've got the pro and AM colours, which are white and a very dark blue. On the left hand side of your screen you have the same sort of principle. The cars with a white stripe next to their position are the pros, and the ones with the dark blue are the AMs. We've just had a change round in the AM class for 5th and 6th here between Luke Jones and Jason Morris. They're side by side now as they come into the hairpin once more. It's basically a chicane and a hairpin all in one. The Hans Ernst boxed. Through they go. Single file with Ben Gregory behind them after that big incident earlier. Ben's trying to gain some places back. This won't affect his points though, Matt, will it? So it's a bit of a frustrating time for Ben, having to go through the AM drivers before actually gaining anything in the long run.
Yeah, it'll benefit him on the grids for the next race, see if he can get past these guys. But I'm surprised this car was relatively undamaged. He's not coming to the pits for repairs. For the moment he had, he's got, in terms of damage, he's got away with it.
Certainly has. Onto the brakes into turn one we go, and he's gone very late and he's hit Jason Morris, and well, we need to get the Wii Sports bowling gif up, I think, to be honest with you, because Ben hit the back of Jason ran wide and hit Luke, and unfortunately the 1-2-2 car has lost 2 places now. That is a big old shame, that. And again, that's just the sort of thing you see with the pace difference when you're coming through the order like that, isn't it, in multi-class racing. I say multi-class, of course, they're all in the same category of car, but when it comes down to the driver's pace on paper, you still get a similar effect.
You certainly do. I mean, you know where you're going to brake, but you don't know where the guys around you are going to brake.
Yeah.
A bit less experience than you, perhaps brake slightly earlier, and it's just, as you're in the pro class, you just got to sort of anticipate that. But look at this battle up the front. You could, I don't know what you could fit in that gap between those two, but not much.
I could tell you one thing, but it's not broadcastable. But right now, though, Eystein Herfjord is under a lot of pressure. He is a driver that can certainly deal with it, though. He knows how to keep a cool head, even with the tiny little bit of contact from Teja Flatten behind. But look how close all those guys get to the gravel there. You've got to push the car as hard as you can off that little right-hander, which is known as the Kumo Bocht, and try not to dip a wheel on the gravel because it drags you way out wide, and then the circuit continues to loop round to the right. So all you do is just get further and further away from the racing line. But these guys are right out there on the limit. I imagine, to be honest with you, it's a great view from where Preben Vala is right now. So why don't we go on board and have a look?
Still, third place is the position you want to be in. Well, it's this close, but Flatten keeps looking to the inside. I don't know if he's going to go for the big dive. He doesn't seem to be the driver that goes for those sort of 50% full, high risk, high reward dives. Yeah, it's an incredibly clean way of driving. He generally drives.
It's great to see it from this point of view as well. Inside the Hyundai Veloster, you really get an idea of how narrow this circuit actually is. A lot of the TV cameras, especially this section of the course, make it look very, very wide, but with the amount of lines that you can take around here, it becomes extremely narrow because you're pretty much always worrying about being too wide round here. Through the hairpin once again, which is Bocht 10, down towards the Hans Ernst Bocht chicane that turns into a hairpin. One of my favourite corners in motorsport, it must be said. I don't enjoy Zandvoort as a circuit, whether it's spectating or driving it, to be honest. It's a big, big challenge. But admittedly, we've had some broadcasts here on NEVO, haven't we, Matt, that have had some incredible races around this place.
Yeah, I've raced here in the F3 cars. This is always a good circuit. It always feels like a really wide circuit to drive, even though it's not, if you sort of know what I mean. Sort of particularly that mid-section, you're going from the extreme left-hand side to the extreme right-hand side of the circuit, sort of constantly through that section.
Ben Gregory just disappeared for a moment on the timing screen on the left-hand side there and dropped down the order a bit, but he is still there, as Teja Flatten is certainly still there. Goes for the lead, and whoa, Preben Vala tried it down the inside as well. And Eystein Herfjord all of a sudden goes from leading this race to third position, and in the background, well, he's gained a second on him in the last few laps. Will Redford is suddenly starting to look like even more of a threat now with a 1:46.9 on that last lap. Does the fastest lap of the race. But car 1 is back in P1 once again here, Matt. Taya Flatten right at the front of the order.
Really nice move there. Down Tarzan hairpin in the air, and Preben Vale was able to go through as well. I think Herfjord got slightly scared wide. He got flattened on his inside, and Vale said I'll have some of that as well, and followed his teammate through.
Yeah, here we have another look at it. He was later on the brakes, and then Eystein goes to turn in, and yeah, he straightens up thinking, oh God, he's going to hit me. I'm not sure that Preben meant to do that. I think it might have just been a little bit of misjudgment, but at the end of the day, it's put his teammate in a race-leading position, and it's given him a rear gunner as well, because now Preben can defend from Eystein Herfjord if he needs to. Going a bit further back, Ben Hicks still trying to hold off Jose Scully. It's great to see these AM drivers really pushing these pro drivers once again. We go on board with Jose. He's been a fantastic addition to the grid this season. The Slovenian driver, very entertaining from the get-go. He had a bit of a torrid first meeting back at the Hungaroring, but since then he's been very impressive, to be honest. Ben Gregory having another little blink in and out there for just a moment. We've got a great few battles going on, to be fair. Manners is ahead of both of the iRace esports cars again. Clibbens has recovered and overtaken Sam Smith, and now he is the filling in the sandwich between the two. Another fastest lap for Will Redford. He is on a real mission here. As a little bit of a moment there for Sam Smith, but this is the man that is really on the move at the moment. He was an entire second quicker than Eystein Herfjord on that last lap. Only a tenth or two faster than Taya Flatten and Preben Vale, but still, to be the fastest man on the circuit in your first round of the championship, that's some certain impression that he's making, isn't it?
It certainly is, and it sort of puts him in a good position for the second race with the reverse grid with the pace he's got. Yeah, so I don't think he's quite going to catch the top three before the end, but yeah, certainly he'll be geeing himself up for a good result in the second race.
Yeah, he will indeed. As things stand, he starts third on the grid as well. Ben Hicks really wants to hold on to this position. He could just let Jose Scully go because there's an AM battle going on for the win in their class around him, but if he finishes 7th, he'll start 7th on the grid. If he finishes 6th, he'll start 1st on the grid for the second race. So he's desperate to hold on. I don't want to say he's desperate. It's obviously me speaking on behalf of him, but he's certainly wanting to try to hold on to it. Hakon Ask and Mark Redford are side by side as well, a little bit further down the order. This is for 11th position. Mark Redford has now gained that 11th spot, 4th in his class. He's gained 4 places from where he started in this race as well. And he has got the Ignium Motorsport Blaze machine all over the back of him right now, although Hakon backs out a little bit early, says no, I'm not going to bother with that. Clibbens and Manners have now swapped round positions again. We missed that because I'm a terrible broadcaster. Manners was down the inside defending, and Clibbens is just going to carry it around the outside. That's nice. They gave each other room there though, and that's really respectful racing. But he managed to get the move done, but it didn't mean that Sam Smith could get a freebie and come through, and now Ian's got the slipstream there, Matt.
Yeah, Sam will be thinking, his teammates will be thinking, stay with me. His teammates keep disappearing away from him. But yeah, you can see Manners not giving it up. He's fighting back. That was a huge dive into the Tarzan hairpin. And he makes the apex as well. That's a brilliant move.
Fantastic stuff from Ian Manners, fighting back once again. Again, he was another driver that didn't seem to have all the confidence in the world coming into the championship and in the first race meeting, but he's really been up there, and Nick Clibbens just grazes the back of the Civic once more. Very, very close indeed, but that was feisty stuff by Ian Manners. He's holding on to third in his class. He doesn't even have to fight these two boys right now. He's got only 2 seconds back to Mark Redford, though. You can see him in the background there in the black Civic. There he is. So really, he needs to keep this buffer between him and the other two for that final podium spot in his class. And we've still got a couple of laps left to go here. 2.25 minutes left. I reckon we might only get one more, actually, because Taya Flatten is nowhere near completed this lap yet.
It's like even the pro class guys. So what? we're going to have with some motor races. Go this race.
Just love watching Taya's body language. Just eases the car around. He just makes it look effortless. It always looks calm. And well, I say that he has a bit of a wiggle there as he goes on to the gravel on the outside of the Kumo Bocht. Out of the final corner then, and he's stretched his legs now ahead of Preben Vale and Eystein Herfjord, and still leads the way. Will Redford is 1.6 seconds behind them, so I'm not sure he's going to get a definite chance at having a go at them here, but this battle carries on. I'm really worried this is going to end in tears, but Seems like a fantastic battle to be a part of at the moment. Even ahead of this, we've got Reece Watt, Ben Hicks and Jose Scully all glued to each other as they come into the first corner. But this is the one to watch, isn't it, Matt? These two iRace Esports cars trying to unsettle the AM driver Ian Manners in his brand new Civic.
Yeah, Ian Manners, it doesn't seem like you can unsettle him at the moment. And even if they do get past him, he's fighting straight back, and he's in a brilliant defensive job at the moment.
Love watching touring car racing. It's so frantic, it's so close, and this is what we always get in the NEVO TCR Series. Over the hill they go then with Reece Watt. This is the AM class leader at the moment. He's got Ben Hicks between himself and Jose Scully, who's on to finish second. Both the Redfords having a fantastic drive, by the way. Mark, father of Will, has gained 4 spots from 15th on the grid. He's just outside the top 10 though, but he's still going to get points in his class for finishing 4th. His son Will started this race 10th on the grid after falling a little bit further down in qualifying than we expected, and he's all the way up in 4th now. He's had a bit of a noticeable rise up there with a bit of contact here and there, but it's certainly been enjoyable to watch. But at the front, with only just a few corners left, we have Taylor Flatten onto the brakes, into the Kumo box. He's going to run it all the way out. Actually, no, he's playing it safer than all other laps as he comes around the final corner. And once again, for his 9th race win out of 9 races, Taylor Flatten wins at Zandvoort ahead of his teammate Preben Valler. That's maximum points for Ignium Motorsport in the team's championship. Eystein Herfjord 3rd, great result for Will Redford in 4th. And Reece Watt is going to take his 3rd win on the bounce in the AM class. What a drive ahead of Ben Hicks, Jose Scully, and then Ian Manners is going to take a well-deserved 3rd place. Wow, he worked hard for that one, Matt.
Yeah, he certainly did. Beating a couple of the Pro Class guys home right at the end there, and Mark Redford coming through in 4th place in the AM class. Yeah, that was a brilliant race to watch. You may not have had the numbers, but certainly enjoyed that one.
That was absolutely epic. Taylor Flatten once again takes another race victory. Preben Valler 2nd, Eystein Herfjord 3rd. I'm going to start counting how many times we've had a Norwegian lockout on the podium, because it's all 3 Norwegians there, all doing a mega job, and it sounds like Preben Valler doesn't want that engine anymore. We're going to have to put a new one in it for the later race, boys. Reece Watt, honestly, you cannot find enough superlatives to describe just how well Reece Watt has been doing, because he's turned this pace around and he's got this ultimate confidence in the car, and all of a sudden he's winning the AM class like it's easy.
He does, and that 5th place is so important because he starts on the front row for the reverse grid race, and he's going to have a load of Pro Cars guys between himself and the guy who's starting 2nd in the AM class, which will be Jose.
Yes, he will indeed. So Taylor Flatten takes another win ahead of his teammate Preben Valler. Eystein Herfjord finishes 3rd and gets another podium. Will Redford in 4th, great recovery drive that, and the best of the Brits as well. Reece Watt 5th, wins the AM class ahead of Ben Hicks. Jose Scully is 2nd in AM ahead of Ian Manners in 3rd, finishing 8th overall. Nick Clibbens and Sam Smith certainly had an exciting race for 9th and 10th, but I think Nick needs a very strong turnaround to hold on to the championship if this continues. Mark Redford finishes 11th, just missing out on a podium in the AM class ahead of Hakon Ask and Ben Gregory, who recovered to P13 in car 13. Luke Jones was next up ahead of Jason Morris, with Martin Kenyon finishing in 16th place. Martin Shirley, the 17th car on our list, did not take to the start. So we've got some cars coming out on track. Jason Morris is going to do some laps during this warm-up session. We're going to get the cameras to change automatically, so do bear with it for just a minute, and then you will see some cars out on track, I believe, or at least I hope. And Matt and I will be back with you in about 3 minutes' time. We're just going to take a quick break while warm-up is on, and we'll be back. We'll be back very, very soon.
close. Now my heart's wide open. When I'm with you, suddenly I feel no pain. Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Stop the time, 'cause I wanna freeze this moment. Make it mine, hold you close. Now my heart's wide open. When I'm with you, suddenly I feel no pain. Do you make it go away? Do you make it?
We apologise for the lack of action during this this warm-up session, everybody, but we're just sorting a few things behind the scenes, and we will be back with you in a mo. Everybody in chat, say thank you to Nick Clibbens. Thank you, Nick. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Matthew Crisp here for the NEVO TCR Series from Zandvoort. We are here for rounds 11 and 12 of this wonderful championship. Unfortunately for us, though, it's Matt's final appearance on our airwaves for this season. But again, Matt, we've been treated to an absolute belter of a race there with some wonderful battles in it, and we're about to get another one, aren't we?
Certainly have. Let's take the fastest guys from that first race. Let's put them in the pack a little bit and see how they do coming through.
Yes, indeed. We're going to get the grid in just a moment. It will shine up on our screens just about now, and we will get everybody sorted out. Ben Hicks starts on pole position, and his fan club's just turned up in the YouTube chat as well. Reese Watt starts second. That's important for the AM-Class Championship. He's ahead of Will Redford, Eystein Herfjord, Preben Valle, and Ataya Flatten, the top six from that first race. The rest of the grid will now filter through on your screen, and we look forward to seeing this one get underway. Do you think that we're going to get 2 out of 2 for Ataya Flatten again tonight, Matt, or do you think this is a bit too much to handle around here?
Well, I said a bit too much to handle at Belle Isle, and he overtook everyone in about 2 laps. So I do think this round, we saw how quick Will Redford was in that first race. He was probably the fastest car out there, apart from the top 3. So I think, yeah, maybe for the first time this season, we could have a different winner in the second race.
Let's have a look then. Round 12 of Season 1 of the NEVO TCR Series is underway from Zandvoort. It's a very good start by Ben Hicks, but once again it's a very good start by Eystein Herfjord. And in the Audi, he's going to go all the way from 4th on the grid, maybe even into first place. Will Redford gets away well, but down the inside goes Ataya Flatten. Will runs a little bit deep. I think he just kissed the side of Reese Watt's car, and Ataya Flatten's gained 2 places already. But for the lead, Eystein Herfjord tries it on Ben Hicks. He's now down the inside. That's going to be the outside for the next corner, which is a long sweeping left. Now look at Will positioning his car out wide to try and cut back, but straight down the inside. Ataya Flatten says thank you very much. Reese Watt has had a crash, and he's gone down the order. As no, Eystein Herfjord gets it wrong, and he's off the road. But Reese Watt has been involved in contact, and he's off. Nick Clibbens has gained 3 places, and Mark Redford is now leading in the AM class, but he's leaning on Nick, and they're side by side down to Shevlak. Oh my God, this is mayhem now.
And the sideways moment there for Nick Clibbens as well. And yeah, Flatten's up to 3rd already. Look how close it is from the top 3. There's absolutely nothing between those 3. Ben Hicks is going to have to defend for his life if he wants to hold these guys at bay.
Can't believe Eystein Herfjord went from being a hero right at the start to dropping places. Something has gone on, because Eystein Herfjord's been off the road, Reese Watt's been off the road, Sam Smith also involved, and a few others as well, actually. Preben Valle lost out in the early stages. So let's have a quick look here then at Reese Watt losing position. So he's in the third car from the front. He's braking very early. Will goes down the inside. Doesn't actually hit him. Taya Flatten backs out of it. So we're watching. Oh, I thought we were watching him, but we'll have to move it back to look at Reese Watt. There he is. And so Reese gets a hit from Preben Vala. Goes across the front of Nick Clibbins. Mark Redford goes through the middle, and Reese is in front of the pack. Just about gets caught by one of the iRace cars, but to be honest, mate, he got away with that lightly, I think, there.
He needs to buy a lottery ticket. Huge moment there.
Goodness.
That was a huge impact there for Jason Morris.
Luke Jones then was just behind this. I think he might have clipped him under brakes. But wow. Jason Morris went flying off the road.
Yeah, I've never seen a car bounce off a guardrail like that.
Oh, he just threw it out of the way himself. And oh my goodness me. That was a horrible, horrible impact. And again, one of those where you're grateful that it's, I don't want to say just sim racing, but you're grateful that it is sim racing. Now, there's been more argy-bargy after that. Hakon Ask has been off. He's gone wide, I believe, on the exit of Kumo box. He just cuts the inside and then runs wide after that. And Jose Scully has had his own moment, I think. Nick Clibbins going off the road. So this was the start of lap 2. Back end steps out. And now he's going to try and get it stopped. And it's around. Jose Scully, this is his moment as well. Right then. Park the mystery machine in the garage, feed the dog, and let's carry on because Will Redford leads the race. What?
I think he took the lead partway around lap 1, but yeah, Flatten second, Ben Hicks is third. Yeah, this was the move. All he needs is half a gap, doesn't he?
Yeah.
All he needs, he's down the inside.
Wow. We've got Paladine in the chat, my good friend from Circuit Superstars. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, the Audi isn't the best car all round, to be fair. It is the oldest one here, and it's been on the service for a while, so it sort of gets neglected a bit, and then they want everyone to buy the newer cars, which are the two Hyundais and the Honda. So, yeah, unfortunately, the Audi not quite as quick as the others. And there is one of the Civics. Ian Manners down the inside of Hakon Ask. Ian was sort of involved in some of that shenanigans at the start, but I think he was just trying to play it safe and not get too caught up. So he's lost a few places from where he started, but he's still doing all right to be back up there. Taya Flatten has now broken away from Ben Hicks, by the way, Matt. We're just going to figure this out now. So Ben Hicks was leading. He's now dropped behind these two, the two fastest men on the circuit. And now reigning champion and possible champion-elect. I think if he wins this race, basically, he is going to be champion with where Nick Clibbins is at the moment. Well, can he get past Will Redford? And will give him a hard fight for this, or will he just sort of enjoy himself?
Do you want to say Will again?
Yeah. I'm willing Will on.
Hey, I think Flatten's going to be sensible enough not to fight him too hard. I mean, Redford's going to want to win. Flatten knows that second place is going to be absolutely is a very good result given where his championship position here is. We see Preben Vala getting past Ben Hicks. Of course, teammates in a sense that they will be chatting together in the they were under the same team on iRacing, but not in this championship. If that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah. I was going to say, he doesn't want to be trying to fight him too hard and ruin his tyres and do it time and time again, because soon he'll lose the will to do it, won't he? Anyway, a bit of a scary moment in the background there for Mark Redford, who is leading the AM class. Ben Gregory's had a good recovery as well. Both these drivers having a good run through the order, actually. Mark Redford's gained 5 places, make that 4, from where he started, down in 11th place. Ben Gregory started 13th on the grid and is now up to 6th. He's had a demon opening few laps, but we saw the exact same at Belle Isle, didn't we? Ben came flying through the field and made this incredible recovery drive after having a nightmare of an incident.
He's not doing bad for someone who said he wasn't going to bother at the beginning of the night. So
exactly, yeah.
just proves that you've got to be out there and you've got to be in it.
In it to win it. In it. So Gregory now completing the top 6 drivers, which are all pros. And we've got Mark Redford, who's now got Jose Scully there in the ATRS Esports Civic behind him, the Slovenian driver. You can see by the windscreen banner, the sort of dark blue, almost black windscreen banner, that he is an AM driver. The white ones show you which are the pros, and that behind him is a pro driver, Sam Smith. But again, Sam and his teammate Nick just haven't quite had the pace around here, but I'll tell you one thing that does have the pace around here, and that's the Civic, and boy is it a good looking car from the front.
Certainly, it sounds alright too. Some of the angles we got with some of the cameras we get here while iRacing give some sound sort of is where the camera is. So that makes sense. We have brilliant sound. But look how close he is now to the back of Mark Redford here, and the Amcars have got to leave each other's space. They're just about to.
Millimetres, literal millimetres between the two. But to be fair, I mean, iRacing have done a good job of capturing the rasp of the Civic, because in real life as well, it is miles louder than any other TCR car, and I'm not quite sure how it's legal or anything, but really, the launch control on that car is one of the loudest things you will ever hear in motorsport. It is mind-blowingly loud. Here's the Civic as well. Sam Smith gets it a little bit wrong late on the brakes there into the back of Jose Scully, but gets away with it. But at the front, Will Redford still holds on to this gap, you know. It's about 0.4 of a second back to Taya Flatten. The two of them are only 100th of a second apart each time. Traded purple sectors on that last lap. And this is great to see, because I think, potentially anyway, at this point, it looks like Taya Flatten has met his match. And, you know, he won't be offended by anybody saying that or feel any sort of, like, pressure from it. He'll love that, won't he? Because he loves having a close race with these people.
So I'm just getting word on the updated points, and I'm being told that Flatten needs to win the race to steal the championship in this race with how things run at the moment. So he probably won't know the situation is. Obviously, you know, we've been informed we can add up the points between the races. Yeah, he'll just be going for the best result he can.
Yeah, that's it. And to be honest with you, like I said earlier, he won't want to ruin that sort of 100% win record when he's been on the track this season. He missed the race meeting at Watkins Glen, so obviously couldn't win those races, but he's won every other race that he's been in so far this season, and it's been absolutely amazing to watch. You know, he's just been untouchable. And the thing is, he's not been dominating every race. You know, he's not been flying away all the time. There's been the odd race where he has been about 8 to 10 seconds clear of everybody, but there are races, obviously these reverse grid races, where sometimes he's had to fight for it, and he's only got it in the last couple of laps, hasn't he? It's like he bides his time, realises he's got a bit of pace in his pocket, makes sure that they're clear of everybody else, and then launches his attack, doesn't he?
I find that a lot of the top guys, that's how they tend to play it. They don't just go for it at the first opportunity. They tend just to sit back, let the race player, let the guy in front use up his tyres, and almost make the errors to make it as easy as possible. Yeah, I mean, will know this situation well. We've got somebody right up behind him. Of course, yeah, you can say he races in the Civic Cup, and that's incredibly close racing. Very close to what we'll be racing tonight. But as we saw in that last race, Flatten, he sat behind Herfjord for the majority of that race, and when the opportunity arose, he went for it. It was a clean pass. He only needs one invitation, and yeah, he'd be through.
I think he knows that he's a very young lad. He's maybe a little bit more susceptible to crumbling under the pressure, but that Civic is very leery with the rear end, and there's a lot of corners around this circuit where you can see it stepping out. I mean, through Shivlak you could see the rotation of the car. It was amazing. The rotation was fantastic, and Will was really balancing it on the throttle and getting the power out the corner, but it's not that easy to do. We've got a bit of argy-bargy and shenanigans going on down here. So, oh no, maybe a bit more than we wanted. Luke Jones and Martin Kenyon. Oh, flipping heck. Well, he'll need a brew after that. That was very unnecessary, I must say. But this is how it all started. So Nick Clibbins has got these two battled in front of him. Nick goes down the inside, makes it 3 wide into turn 9, says thank you very much. Martin runs a little bit wide. Luke's then next to him. So Luke then goes over to the right. Oh, yeah. The thing is that the line goes over to the right there, doesn't it, naturally? The cars usually do gravitate right, and I think Martin just straightened up, and yeah, I don't think Luke was expecting it. So it's a bit of one of those miscommunication sort of racing incidents for me.
Yeah, it's always difficult because you don't know what the other guy can see, because you don't know if they're running single monitor or on triple monitors or whatever. So it's always difficult, especially when you go 3 wide. And we've had drama down the back. Preben Vale, we lost Preben Vale from the race.
Yeah, Preben Vale has gone off. Oh, he's put it in the barrier himself. Oh no, and Eystein Herfjord. Eystein Herfjord has hit him and he's out of the race as well. Wow. Now I saw a car go into the barrier and I thought that was Preben and he'd just gone straight on, but no.
That was, he got slightly wide, and as soon as he got sideways there, he got no way of saving it. And that was so unlucky there for Herfjord there, just clipping Vale's car, and we see how just at tiniest contact and it damages his front right, and yeah, they're both out of the race.
Well, guess what? We've got a similar situation that we had last week. Ben Gregory from near the back of the grid could be on for a podium here. He's got Ben Hicks in front of him. Mark Redford's now up to 4th place. There he is. Leading the AM class as well, which again I'm not showing you at the top of the screen. But this is another race that continually throws up stuff for us to enjoy. I mean, we've got a few drivers out of the race, unfortunately, but I think there was nothing that Eystein could do there. There was nothing really that Preben could do, to be honest. The way the car bounced off the wall, he was not in control of that. You know, no matter how hard you're on the brakes, no matter what you do with the steering, the way the car bounced, Eystein did not have a way to avoid that whatsoever, did he?
He did, and Preben Vale did a really good job there to actually get his car off the track as quick as possible and tow it back to the pit lane. We saw a couple of cars behind have to take a bit of avoiding action, but yeah, that could have been a bit even bigger moment. It
could, yeah. There could have been more cars involved there, and a big blockage and quite a ruined night for a lot of drivers. But that's racing sometimes. These things happen. We have contact, we have incidents. Everyone's human. They all make mistakes. Mark Redford now, he's going to be hoping he doesn't make any mistakes. He's got Sam Smith behind him from the Pro class, as you can see by the different coloured windscreen banners, but he wants him to stay there, doesn't he, really, in this situation, Matt, because he is the buffer now between Mark and the 2 AM drivers behind, Jose Scully and Ian Manners, all trying to take the win, and all driving Civics as well, interestingly.
Certainly, yeah, so a few Pro class cars in the mix. Sam Smith has been all the thick of it every time we look further down the pack. Sam Smith seems to be involved in it tonight. But he's up to 6th position, he's gained 4 positions in it. So a lot of big gainers at the front of the field. +9 for Ben Gregory, +6 for Mark Redford, +4 for Sam Smith, +4 for Flatten as well.
Yeah, just showing there on the left-hand side. You can see that most of them have all sort of gained from the losses of others, but still, some of them, like Ben Gregory and Mark Redford, had to sort of put the graft in and make those places themselves at certain points of the race, and it's been working well for them at the moment. Around the final corner they go, and I love watching them sort of squirm the car through here and cling on to the front end. It's very close between Will Redford and Taylor Flatten at the front as well in terms of lap times, but we continue to see our AM class leader in the background there. Ian Manners having a go at Jose Scully for 2nd place in the class. The 2 Civics go side by side round the outside of Tarzan. Is there still an overlap? I think there might just be. Jose Scully thinks there is as well. Oh, tiny little gap. Somehow stays in front, but is Ian going to dive down the inside? Yes, he is. You bet he is. Hugs it to the inside line. We saw him try moves before and he got it done, and he's done it again on Jose.
Yeah, and they're still side by side. This section, you don't usually expect cars to go side by side. We'll see if somebody backs out. Ian Manners, I don't know if he backed out or just the momentum from Jose got him ahead. Yeah, that was a good clean racing between the 2. And a sideways Akonas comes into shot. She wants a bit of airtime, I think.
Yeah. Wow. Absolutely sideways for a moment there. Wow. Didn't show that he went off track for long enough or anything, so I can't find it back again. I can't look back. Martin Kenyon is out of this race. He's just had an incident here, and that's exactly what we saw Preben Vale do before on the front right. Is, well, there's broadcastable words and non-broadcastable words. You can make your own words for that one.
Have a tea in his favourite biscuit, I think, as we've got a real challenge on for the lead now. Flatten wants to get to the inside. This is not the final corner. It's going to be ultra aggressive. He wants to get through. Redford's not going to yield this one. They're going to go absolutely toe to toe down the main straight now up towards Tarzan corner. Still rubbing door panels.
Fantastic stuff. Very close together between the two of them. And Will, look at that. Look at the aggressiveness. As soon as the overlap is gone, he moves over. Taya Flatten says, right, if I can't do it around there, I'll do it here. Opens the door around the outside, gets down the inside of Will. He's sideways, stamps it, saves it, and still leads. Fantastic driving by both of them. Taya Flatten, well, he sent him for a hot dog, and then, to be honest, as soon as that door opened again, he put his nose there, but Will said, not on your life. I know I can save this if you tip me sideways. And still the two of them are about 4 millimetres apart. This is epic touring car racing, and it's just erupted out of nowhere, hasn't it, Matt? That's the thing. It's been so chill and so calm between the pair of them. All of a sudden, they've gone, right, we've got a 7-second gap to everyone else. We've got 8 minutes. War.
Certainly, turned out. I can't believe Flatten wanted that inside so much into the last corner there. Sort of was going to make him move at turn 1, but yeah, he wasn't. Redford was trying to hang him off, but yeah, Redford was having absolutely none of it.
Absolutely, and I tried to do a cool transition from one car to the next there and absolutely ruined it. But this is an epic battle indeed, and will it be, get it, Will it be Will Redford that becomes the first driver to beat Taya Flatten on the road this season? We will find out one way or another. But I know that some people will be doubtful, some people will be hopeful. It'll be a fantastic way to do it, and out of all people to do it, it'd be great for Will, because it'll be the first driver to do it, and he'll be on his debut in the championship as well. His father Mark will be very proud, I'm sure, after racing in the season from the very start and seeing what the pace is like in a championship like this. I mean, look at Will in the last sector. He's broken away here. He's got half a second on him.
Yeah, maybe Flatten had that half a gap, and he thought, I've got to go for this, because on the parts of the track where he can overtake, he's maybe just has the legs on him. But yeah, I'm not sure if Flatten knows. But with the result at the moment, of course, with Varley out of the race and Nick Clibman's way down in his 11th overall, but obviously a bit higher up in his overall class. But Flatten will actually take the championship in this race.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting, isn't it? The prospect of a championship as well being affected, but it's not affected in that much of a negative way. That's the thing. You have to look at this in terms of the bigger picture. We've got Ian Manners now all over the back of Jose Scully once again. There's no doubt in what type of car it is that you're chasing. Normally the car in front is a Toyota, but we don't have any Toyota TCR cars. There isn't one actually, is there?
Not in TCR. Obviously, I know in BTCC there's an NGTC Toyota Corolla, but yeah, not in there.
No, there isn't a TCR Toyota, is there?
No.
Interesting. Shame there isn't really, to be honest, but still, these two, definitely Hondas, and definitely on for a good result as long as they keep it on the road here. Mark Redford, well, wouldn't that be amazing if Will Redford wins in the Pro class and if Mark Redford wins in the AM class? Because look at the top of the screen, I've only just noticed it. That would be really cool, wouldn't it, if father and son win their respective classes in this race. Sam Smith's trying to win the Rallycross Award as he comes out of box 10, but he's actually got quite the gap ahead of him now to Mark, hasn't he? So Mark's got a bit of breathing room here.
Yeah, he does, and Ian Manners getting stuck in with Jose ahead of him, so these two are certainly in the AM class, probably the closest battle on the track at the moment.
Well, we do have Ben Gregory still behind Ben Hicks as well, but there's about half a second between them. And how's that for a retaliation? Will Redford does the fastest lap of the race now on lap 11. So he's certainly on a mission. Continues on and continues pushing. Ben Hicks pushing. Maybe a little bit too much there, actually, as Ben Gregory closes in through turn 1. But because of running a little bit deep, Ben's able to get the run on Ben out of the corner. And now Ben needs to chase Ben because the gap from Ben to Ben is a bit bigger.
Battle of the Bens.
Now, which one's Big Ben and Little Ben?
We'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, we'll have to start calling one of them Bill. Anyway, got Ian Manners still on the back of Jose Scully. That wasn't even that funny, was it? But still, they're stuck together, these pair. This is a great battle because, again, they're two drivers that, if you look back to the start of the season, they had a horrible race meet in each. I'm pretty sure they did anyway. I think Ian actually had quite a good second race, but they didn't have the best of times at the Hungara ring at the start of the season. But now they're fighting for second and third in their class, inside the top 10 overall as well. It is great to see this sort of improvement. Yes, the numbers may be less than they were at the start of the championship, but you've got to consider the relative performance between them and in their class as well They're still here. They're still putting the performances in. They're still scoring the points. And we were saying it at the top of the broadcast. That's what matters, isn't it, Matt?
It is. Ian Manners looks to the inside.
Whoa.
I was going to say that wasn't going to work if he committed, but he was just trying to get his nose in, put off his rival ahead. But he's actually, in doing that, he's lost a length or two.
Yeah, he has. It's one of those things you see. Sometimes you have to just risk putting your nose down the inside to try and unsettle your rival. But then if you don't quite get it right, or if your rival holds firm and stays strong in front of you, then you can end up losing yourself quite a bit of time in the sort of compromise that you've had to do to your own racing line. Now then, Ian's got a bit of slipstream into turn 1, but not enough, and he's seen a few drivers open up the corner. He's going to aim to get a better run out of Tarzan, but I think Jose Scully's just good enough at carrying the pace down the inside line there. He doesn't have to worry about it. Will Redford still leads this race by about half a second, by the way, and he's kept the gap about that. He's just on a purple sector 2 as well, so that car's getting better and better as this race goes on, to be honest with you. I'm wondering if there might be a tiny bit of damage to Taylor Flatton's car from that earlier contact, but it didn't seem to be much of a touch, did it, to be fair? It was bumper to bumper rather than affecting the wheel or the suspension.
Yeah, I think he'll get away with that, but we've seen so far this season, these second races, he's absolutely this is really, really, really bad, tearing his way through the field.
Yes.
Yeah, that was low. That was the bottom of the barrel
flattening the opposition.
I hope we used that one before. But yeah, we've got a stopper. We've got a stopper in his 2 out of 2 victories of the each evening, and it's Will Redford at the moment.
You could say that this performance has fallen flat. And anyway, yeah, I've got splinters as well now. Ben Hicks still in the battle of the Bens, just about holding on ahead of Gregory here. It's great to have Ben Hicks back in the championship with us, and to be honest, it'd be really popular to see him on the podium, because I don't think so far this season he's had a podium. Jakob's messing with the spreadsheet, so all of the previous results are hidden for now. No, the best result that we've actually had for Ben so far this season has been 5th outright, so he's only had 8 points at best. We've now gone on to the final lap of the race here at Zandvoort, and Will Redford has now got an 0.8 of a second lead over Taylor Flatton. This is pretty amazing by Will. Continues to impress us here. I had a message off Jakub Szymanski not long ago saying, can you imagine if Will was here from the very start of the season? It would be remarkable to see just how interesting this championship would have been, to have him and Taylor battling or tearing chunks out of each other through the entire season. It would have been brilliant, wouldn't it?
Certainly it would have been, because Flatton's not had an answer from Will in this first race. We saw we had a bit of a struggle in qualifying, but yeah, the reverse grid formats brought him right back into it, and we are going to get, for the first time, a different winner in the second race. Well,
we've got a few corners left to decide that, I guess, but we need to keep our eye on that gap, because it's now about 0.9 of a second. But this is the thing, this is the most nerve-wracking part of the race now. You've got 1 lap left to go. Sure, he's done it many times before, and sure, he does this for real as well, but even in sim racing, it can be very nerve-wracking. I know a lot of real-world racers that they say they don't get that nervous on the start for a real race when they're sat on the grid. But in sim racing, they feel an incredible amount of nerves. But a man that I suggested earlier might have crumbled to the pressure has done quite the opposite. Everybody put your hands together for the first driver to beat Taylor Flatton on the road this season. Will Redford wins at Zandvoort. What a result, sunshine. What a debut. Taylor Flatton, though, is the NEVO TCR Series champion, and he takes it with a second place, his only second place of the season. Ben Hicks gets his first podium, and it's Redford and Redford taking class victories. Will Redford wins in Pro, his dad Mark wins in Am. Oh, I tell you what, this will be probably the most popular race of the season so far, Matt. Jose Scully and Ian Manners complete the podium in the Am class, but boy oh boy, was that a belter, and what a popular result that will be.
Red hot performance from the pair of them. I'd like to be a part of that party tonight.
Oh, indeed, yeah. The champagne will be flowing, I am sure. And hopefully we'll get to speak to them again very shortly. But Mark will be over the moon with taking that one. Absolutely over the moon. I think that might be his first, maybe his third win. That's his second class win. He's had 2 second places and a first place in his class this season. And other than that, his best result has been 4th. And he's had a bit of an up and down championship so far, but yeah, for him to come into tonight at a very difficult circuit, and of course for his son to make his debut as well, and to take the outright race victory while Mark wins in his class, it doesn't get much better than that, to be honest with you. It does not get much better than that. I've raced with my sibling before, my brother, on iRacing, and we both had strong results on the same night, and it's honestly a strange sensation when, you know, you're on with a family member and, you know, you both have a really good night of sim racing on such a professional platform like iRacing, and yeah, it'll mean a lot, that. It really will.
It really does. It means something to these guys. I mean, some people say, oh, it's just a game, but you know, it really does mean something.
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, it's completely different. You know, I compared it a long time ago to, you know, if you just sat on Forza and you're racing against the AI or something. There's nothing wrong with Forza, don't get me wrong, it's brilliant. It's what I started with, really. But if you're just racing against the AI, you know, it's like, yeah, that was good, you know, I won the race. When you're doing that against real people in such a realistic environment where you're still putting in the inputs that you would in a real car, you know, it's a very physical sport still, and, you know, the mental aspect as well. If you do beat somebody else on the road in iRacing and you have a good result, you know, I can cross the line in 7th after starting 10th, you know, and I will be screaming, like, yes, get in, like, punch in the air, you know. It means a hell of a lot to do it like this, and, well, it's going to be quite an emotional result, I imagine. Will Redford wins by just under a second to Taya Flatten. Ben Hicks gets another Ignium Motorsport car on the podium. Ben Gregory, again, just misses out on a podium tonight. Mark Redford wins the AM class. Sam Smith finishes in 6th ahead of Jose Scully and Ian Manners. Then we have Hakon Ask in 9th position. Reese Watt finishing in 10th, recovering after the earlier off. Nick Clibbins finishes 11th, ahead of Luke Jones, and Martin Kenyon was the first of our non-finishers. Eystein Herfjord and Preben Vala, 2 very big hitters that didn't make the end. Jason Morris is 16th, and Martin Shirley did not take to the start of the race. So then, I have been asked by Mr. Redford, Will, this is, the younger of the Redfords. I've just realised that my internet is doing a poo. I can see him. He couldn't see us, but he's here now, and we'll have a quick word with our race winner. Will, you must be absolutely buzzing after that one, mate, because, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. You winning the race outright, your dad winning the AM class as well. Talk us through it, mate, because, well, we know it's not easy in this championship.
Yeah, it was good fun, to be fair, and obviously happy to take away the win, and well done to Mark for taking away the win in the AM class as well. But I didn't know what to expect coming to this, because I hadn't done any practice on this track in this combination till half an hour before, and I didn't have a setup at all, so it was always going to be interesting. Qualifying, I ended up binning it on the second lap, so I didn't get a good lap in, so that made race 1 a lot of fun coming through the pack. And then obviously the reverse grid in race 2 meant I could get a good start, get ahead, and then just keep the lead, because I knew I had the pace from race 1, and it ended up for me coming away from the win.
Well, it was certainly an impressive result even in the first race. You know, I think we were sort of watching that and thinking, yeah, you can probably go to bed happy tonight knowing that he had a good first race, but then to come through in the way that you did in that second one, and I mean, fight against someone like Taya Flatten, you know, he's just won the championship for the second time running with that second place, but he's a hell of a competitor to have. But it's been nice actually for us to see somebody that can match him. Was it a massive fight to keep him behind, or did you feel like you had it under control?
I think it was interesting because the cars were both stronger in different places. I think the Honda was quite good through the fast corners, but the Villaster was quite good out the slow corners. So it sort of ebbed and flowed, which ended up with him a bit close to me a few times, and then I pull away. I think we had a bit of argy-bargy at one point, proper touring car racing. But yeah, it was good fun racing with him. He's a mega driver, and it was nice obviously to have someone to race against, because if he wasn't there, we'd be miles ahead of everyone else. So.
Well, that's it. I mean, I'm glad that you called it proper touring car racing, because, you know, I'm sure between us we both know a lot of people that would have that contact, and, you know, their night would be ruined. But at the end of the day, you've got to floor it, plant your foot through the bulkhead and just steer into it. And because it's a front-wheel drive car, you can get away with it. What does your real-world experience that you've had so far, Will, sort of do to help these sorts of scenarios? It's something I've wanted to ask you from the beginning, really, but obviously now is the perfect opportunity.
I think, like you say, you know, just plant your foot and keep the wheel straight, and that's something that I learnt in real life, and then obviously coming over to front wheel drive cars in the sim, it helps, but it also works either way, because in the sim I've learned about opening up the steering with these cars to get the traction down, and that's something that, coming from a low power front wheel drive car last year, it wasn't necessarily as important as it is in these 350 horsepower touring cars. So I think that's something that's helped me learn. Like, I've learned that from the sim, and I can take that into real life when I'm obviously driving the Hondas this year, which have a lot more power than what I was driving last year. But instinct-wise, when you're going sideways in a front-wheel drive car, you just know to plant your foot, and that is something that I learned from the real world, and then it brought it into the sim. But I can also learn things from the sim that go back into the real world.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. It's not just a one-way street, is it? You can take stuff from the sim and then sort of apply that, because you can practice things and get used to the sensation of certain things without that fear factor of being in the car and having the cost.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these cars aren't... They drive a little strange in places. They're not quite one-to-one with how the cars would be in real life, the TCR cars. But they do teach you a lot, especially, opening up steering to get the traction down and all that sort of thing. On a front-wheel drive car is obviously very loose, and these will teach you how to drive a car into a corner that's loose on the rear and still get it straight for the exit. And it's a great place to learn.
Well, very well done tonight, Will. It was absolutely wonderful to watch you, and of course to see you and your dad both take a win in each class as well. I'll tell you what, actually, we'll drag in Redford Senior, bring Mark in. Mark, that must be quite the emotional result, really, for you to win the AM class and for Will to come in and take the pro win. That must be pretty mega.
Yeah, dreams can come true, can't they?
They can, mate. They can indeed. Talk us through it, though, because your race was far from straightforward, though, because you had company at points, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a really lucky first lap and just kind of made up loads of positions. And then when I realised where I was, it was like, great, let's see if I can hold on to the leaders. But obviously I don't have that pace. But yeah, I was being pushed, I think, by, is it Sculge or whatever his name is?
Scully,
at one point. And then Sam got past him. I thought, great, there's a buffer there. I'll just try and, hit my marks, get my apexes, get the exits, try not to get sideways, and hopefully I'll have a buffer. And it seemed to work out nicely.
Yeah, it certainly did by the end, and of course big championship points for the pair of you. Not long left to go in the season anymore, though, and to be honest, it's come around quite quickly, hasn't it?
It has, yeah, especially after missing the last round because I was away in Scotland. So, 2 more races to go.
Indeed. Well, it was great to speak to you both anyway. Starting with you, Will, is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to while we've got you?
Obviously shout out to our team, Prolo's Racing. That's what the bright colours you see on the cars, and shout out to my dad for bringing away the win.
Lovely stuff. And to you, Mark, as well, any thanks that you want to give while we've got you?
Yeah, I was going to say a big shout to Neil and the guys at Pro Alloy Racing, and you, Chaz, and Jacob for putting the league on and doing the commentary, and Matthew as well for his excellent work. And big shout to Will for getting the win. Well done.
Lovely stuff, boys. Well, fantastic to speak to you both, and hopefully we'll see you both getting wins again very soon. Cheers.
Thank you.
There we go then. A lovely little family reunion up here in the commentary box, and a very popular result indeed. One thing that we can't let it distract us from, though, Matt, is the fact that now we have a double champion in our midst. Taya Flatten, very well done, mate. A second championship in the books with 2 race meetings left. That's 20% of the championship. You must be absolutely over the moon.
Are you sure? Really?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I've had word from Jakob. It's basically in the bag now. Even
nice.
with drop scores.
I wasn't sure about it, but nice. That's awesome. I was actually getting goosebumps when you told me that now. So, that's nice.
I mean, it's a shame that the 100% win record has gone out the window with that race, but it looked like a phenomenal battle with Will. I can imagine you were really enjoying that.
Yeah, it was really fun, and the way the BOP is right now, the Honda is faster in a straight line, so I was losing time to Will even in draft and with better exit, so it was impossible for me to pass him without him doing a mistake. So I was trying to put some pressure on him and see if he could do something wrong, but he was driving phenomenally.
Well, very nice of you to say, but it's still honestly, the performance that you've had this season, I mean, we were looking back through the points earlier, you had, and this is going to get annoying for people really, you've had win, a race off, win, second. That's not a bad record to have really, especially in a championship like this, is it?
Oh, it was this season has been really fun, and I've been practicing a lot and spending a lot of time to make setups. So it's nice to see that all the hard work is paying off. And this track, I didn't know so much, didn't have so much time to practice. So it was kind of more fun tonight, battling for the win, than rather than being at the front, starting at the front, having 1 second gap and winning by 10 seconds. So tonight was way more fun.
And of course, next time round we go to the Red Bull Ring as well, where slipstream is going to be quite important. What do you make of that wonderful circuit? Because I think it's an absolute beauty.
Yeah, it's a nice circuit, and it's going to be hard for us to do something with the wheel when you have the Honda and when it's so much faster on the straight line. But we have to try. We have to try to make a good setup and see what we can do.
Well, as always, Taya, we always look forward to having you on our screens, mate. But well done on the second championship on the bounce, and enjoy your evening, mate. And is there anyone, that you want to give a thanks to? Sorry.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank my girlfriend, as always, and my family, mother, father, brother, and all the guys that are watching, and of course you guys, and who make the broadcast, and of course Jakob, who is making a great league for us to drive in.
Cracking stuff. Very well done again, Taya, and hopefully we will speak to you again after the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers. Well, there you go, Matt. Two-time champion Taya Flatten, and to be honest, I don't want to say it was inevitable after the start of the season, but when you win every race in the first 4 meetings, it starts to look a little bit predictable, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look at his performance again at the back end of the last season, coming into this season. Few would have bet against him taking the championship. Yeah, he's got 2 rounds to go. I'm sure he's still going to press on, enjoy those as well.
I'm sure he will. Now, somebody that I imagine will have enjoyed this evening, despite a few trials and tribulations at points, will be Ben Hicks, who we've now got in the commentary box with us. Ben, I was saying earlier, it's great to have you back in the championship with us, and you must be happy to be back. A podium on your return, mate.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, no, it's good to be back driving the TCR. It's been a little while, but I've been enjoying the series, and I thought it's about my only chance for a podium this season, so I thought I'd come and say hi.
Well, it certainly worked out, but I mean, it didn't come easy though. You know, it was the battle of the Bens in third position. You had to hold off Mr. Gregory, who was charging through the order. Just talk us through how that was going.
I was chatting to Ben just in the waiting room, and yeah, he really had me sweating for the whole race. Really, I mean, got a little bit lucky with the positions gained with the incident ahead, but I think for the last 15 minutes, I think Ben was constantly within a second. I was trying to not look in my mirrors too much and just focus on the road ahead and try and keep it clean. And when that white flag or when the checkered flag flew, I was pretty happy.
And talk us through the sort of mental aspect of being in the same machinery when you've got a car coming up behind you. Because when it's a different car, like if it was someone in a Civic or even an Elantra, for example, you never quite know how their car's behaving. But is there a little bit of something in your mind that puts you at ease knowing it's the same car behind you?
A little bit. I mean, definitely here the Honda was really strong. In the first race, I was in a Honda sandwich. And I could not get past them, past the guy ahead on the straight, with a decent exit. And I think Terje found the same up against Will. So I knew that the Ben behind wasn't going to be able to sort of just drive straight past me on the straight. So yeah, that was of some comfort, I guess.
Well, any comfort will do in a TCR race, I imagine. It's quite a frantic environment out there, but obviously it was a very solid evening. To be fair, Ben, we're going to Red Bull Ring next time out. Can we expect to see you on our screens again there?
I shall be there. Yep, all being well. Just been recovering from COVID, so hopefully that doesn't come back to get me. But no, all being well, I'll be there.
Well, I was going to say, I hope you're all right, mate, and hope it hasn't got you too bad. And of course, we look forward to seeing you on our screens again. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Big shout out to Ignium, the rest of the team, especially Tia. He puts in so much effort, making setups for us, helping us, providing us little hints and tips all the way. So yeah, massive shout out to him. Thank you. And yeah, all the other guys, big thanks to you guys for the broadcast, and for Jakob for organising the league.
Lovely stuff. Well, nicely said, Ben. Great to speak to you again, mate. And like I say, really good to have you back on our screens. And of course, doing well as well. We hopefully will see you at Red Bull Ring after another good performance there.
Lovely. Cheers, Chaz.
Cheers, Ben. And well, I always get to this point where I say another evening comes to a close, Matt, but another champion is crowned, and unfortunately, your time with us for this season has come to a close. But before we round things out, what have you made of this? What I think is a phenomenal championship and a very entertaining sort of sporting prospect.
Yeah, it's been a brilliant. This all sounds like it's over, doesn't it? We've still got 2 more rounds to go. But yeah, it's been fantastic racing. But you wouldn't expect anything less from these cars. And yeah, it's great to see all the different makes and models out there. And yeah, as you say, with some of the guys alluding to there, the different strengths and weaknesses of each model, and it creates some brilliant racing.
It really does, mate. It really does. Well, it's been fantastic to have you with us, Matt, and obviously we hope to have you on our screens once again and in our ears with your commentary. But from me and from Matthew Crisp, it's been a very, very wonderful evening here at Zandvoort in the NEVO TCR Series with a new champion crowned. But for now, enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody, and we will see you very soon at the Red Bull Ring, where I'll have Ed May joining me in the box. And now that the gloves are off, the champion can enjoy himself for the last 2 rounds of the season. We will see you again very, very soon, everyone. Have a good night.
Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it.